Hey, I was playing and I beat Night Aspect as Undertaker, and I got this dismembered finger.
This will do, I'm sure.
It's a red, and red typically means bad or has some kind of negative side effect. I have no idea. Is it- I, not always, but I have a tendency to not look things up unless I have to, quote unquote have to. If I can't reasonably figure something out by myself, then I tend to look it up. Though I always try figuring out, like, I always try to figure things out on my own before looking them up. Not seeing anything here, but he had a line after I tossed it. Offer the Night Lords a rune. That's what the normal thing says, though. And like I said, there was a piece of dialogue after I tossed it. So I feel like there should be something else. I don't know. There are a lot of things in this game that are just very obtuse that I've not been able to figure out. And like that's par for the course for Nightreign, I suppose. That's that's how most of the Souls games are in most aspects, but I guess I'll do this, and if it's just a normal cutscene, I'm probably gonna look it up because that doesn't seem like something I'd be able to figure out. That doesn't seem reasonable to figure out on your own. Because it's probably some weird rule set of like, you have to wear this specific garb and play the game at this time on this day and play in a duo with the other person being a guardian. And you have to have eaten soft tacos within the last 3 days. Just weird things like that. I remember that it was very similar for Recluse, where it was like you had to have these two or three, I think two specific relics on, and then on top of that, you had to go into a side room. And it was just very obtuse. This, I typically skip the cutscenes when not doing recorded runs. But I think this is the normal cutscene. Just taking a stretch. But yeah, I think that's the normal cutscene. Alright, so unless there's something new immediately after, probably just going to We can keep that one. Unless there's something here immediately, I think I'm just gonna look it up because... Ew. Oh! Remembrance, glass necklace, memory fragment found. Put me back in the default thing. Alright. So, good thing I decided to check the equipment. Like, good thing I, one, decided to choose Night Aspect. Two, good thing I decided to go with Undertaker. Three, good thing that I decided to check the equipment after beating them, but before doing the cutscene. Four, good thing I noticed that. And five, good thing I dropped it. And also six, good thing I decided to open OBS because I didn't have it open and record. Oh boy, let's play Spot the Difference. So, on her chest, there's like a little white circular necklace thing. But here it's like a blue-purple thing. I'm not noticing anything different besides that. It'd probably be a bit easier if there wasn't Dawn and Darkness between Remembrance and Normal. But okay. So, the last thing that we got is either here... Okay, it's here. A necklace ring with a night-corroded crystal. Inside are the floating, wavering signs of night. The power exuded by the necklace is meager but stable. Grasping it gives its owner an uncanny sense of calm. The promise gave her purpose and made it possible to hold on to the necklace. And then it is green with the effects of Undertaker. Activating ultimate art increases attack power, so you use your ult and you get a damage boost. I wonder if that only applies your specific one, or if it applies to the purple one that you get to use for free right after a teammate uses their ult. I'm going to assume that it means your personal one and the free one you get after a teammate ults. I'm going to assume that, which is pretty good. Ultimate art, auto charge +3, that's pretty good. Successive attacks, boost attack power, that is also good. And then I believe we read chapter 6 already. So on to the final chapter. A sky of clouds. A few rays of sunlight peek through. My life had been a loathsome affair. Those around me kept their distance as I moved from place to place. At times I was pressed into battle, and piled the corpses high. What could be a path to peace had been offered to me, and the sacrifices would be worth it. For me, with little else but bloodshed to call a talent, perhaps I had found my purpose. I've come to believe it is, now. And the little sketch is her walking away with the severed finger. Okay, so let's look at all these sketches and talk about them. Or I can describe what they are or what I think they are. So this is a Wylder as the Night Lord because his specific, like, personal ending thing that isn't just the normal ending. The one with the unique cutscene that you can only get as Wylder. That has him become Holster in order to save Duchess because she's a sister, and when the night ends, by killing Holster, then the round table dies and she dies with it. And so this is Wylder becoming Holster to continue the night to uh, prolong his sister's life. Guardian, this is him choosing to spare Recluse because he got some kind of curse that destroyed his people and made him unable to fly. And throughout his remembrances, you learn that Recluse was the cause of that curse. And this was him forgiving her and walking away instead of killing her. Ironeye, despite him being by far my most played character, I actually don't know too much about his story. But to my understanding, he was an assassin for the Fellowship. And the person that he talks to, Isolde, uh, they were his custodian, they taught him, and they wanted to leave the Fellowship. But because they're an order of assassins, if you tried to leave, you died. They killed you. But Isolde wanted to leave, and he passed that desire to leave onto Ironeye. And Ironeye was sent out here to presumably end the night by killing Holstor. However, if he did that, then he would no longer be useful to the Fellowship, and therefore they would kill him. And so this was him. I don't know what the little corpses that you touch at the very end, but most of them, like the normal ending, is you offering the Night Lord's rune to that little corpse, and that ends the night. But the way that Ironeye's specific ending goes is he slits their throat and walks away, and that means that the night continues on forever. And he does that specifically so that way he can, like, he's unable to outlive his usefulness because his purpose is to end the night, but if the night goes on forever, then he's always going to be useful, and therefore the Fellowship will never kill him. The Duchess, I'm not really sure what her thing was. It's been so long. I know that it was tied up with Wylder, but in chapter 9 it says, like, safeguard my brother's life. So I'm assuming this has something to do with her having a keepsake and saving Wylder's life. Raider, so there were two people. I don't know if I can see it here, but it was like the White Horn and Black Claw, if I remember correctly. And he was one of them. Raider was one of them, but he was pretending to be the other. And he wanted to do tournaments so that way he could find a worthy challenger. And this was him accepting that he was his own person and not the person he was pretending to be. Revenant, uh, she was a human. She was murdered. Her life went into a doll. And this, if I remember correctly, was her accepting that. Like, that truth. This for Recluse, this is a Recluse holding the child because the night uh, she birthed it, but it was kind of a terrible child, and she, at the time, was not the best of moms, and so she abandoned it, and it went crazy, and then her unique ending is her embracing the child to get it to calm down, and this is, like, this image is portraying that. For Executor, he paints paintings, and this is him painting a painting. I'm very knowledgeable in the lore, if you couldn't tell. Scholar, this is him. Like, he's a scholar, obviously. Does research, takes notes, but he doesn't think that he's going to survive, and so this is him passing on his journal full of notes to the Undertaker in hopes that she will bring his findings to the world, basically. And then Undertaker, not too sure. This is her accepting that she's useful in the sense that she can kill very well. Not too entirely sure. Not gonna lie, I thought that there would be one more remembrance as her, which is part of why I started recording. But that was very short. So, on top of that, we can go through all of these and read all of them in one fell swoop. So, the Wylder. Chapter 1. The Wylder departed from his faraway home, braving the sea of fog to reach Limveld. A nightfarer's forays wither the soul and cloud recollection, causing one night to bleed into the next. But of one thing he remained certain. He must track down the Night Lord and bury it. There was no choice. He repeated the words to himself, and all the while clenching a precious object in his hand, a solitary earring, its counterpart long lost. Chapter 2. In a corner of the round table hold, light shines in through the ceiling to a dimly lit room. There stood the Wylder, holding the solitary earring up to the light, casting a pattern on the wall that he could not comprehend. The Wylder was sure that it was some word, or perhaps a phrase, but he could not recall it. Where had where had he misplaced the earring? If only he had its counterpart, surely the meaning could be divined. Chapter 3. He dreamt of his home. Two horses galloped across Windwheel Knoll. They were a healthy pair of twins, which was rare. To the Wylder, and to Blank, the horses were special. Upon a hill they ran abreast. He looked at her, hair dancing in the wind, and saw the earring on her left ear, but he could not recall a face. "My Lord Wylder, how are you today?" The voice of the Iron Menial awakened him. Time for another errand, no doubt. Chapter 4. Clutching the now solitary earring, the Wylder drifted off into sleep. The sun was setting on Windwheel Knoll, and as if in deference to its name, a gale howled. The dreaded winter was approaching. By the time of the first frost, he knew that his sister would be far along her journey. The Wylder fell silent, and Blank, flashing her signature smile, flicked her earring with her finger. "Goodbye for now, dear brother. Once we're done, we'll meet again." He could not remember her name, but he always remembered those parting words. Chapter 5. The Wylder continued to fight, never mentioning his younger sister. There was no way forward except to soldier through the war at hand. He returned to the Round Table Hold that day to discover a note from the Iron Menial. I discovered what might explain your singular obsession with that earring, and it came to me. The two of you possess a striking likeness, so much so that I simply cannot deny it. There's something that you must know. Please check the study. Chapter 6. The Wylder had the same dream time and time again. A long night persists, driving its clansfolk to madness. After a horrific battle, all that remains upon Windmill Knoll is a sea of gravestones. After the death of cousin Farhad, little Sheeran, and his own father, the clan's chieftain, the Wylder discovered that only he remains, and now only he can avenge his clan. Only he can bring an end to the night. But even if he can, once we're done, it will be goodbye. Even if the night were extinguished, the twin horses will never gallop beside one another again. Chapter 7. Holding his greatsword, the Wylder drifted off to sleep. Out of nowhere, he heard the rustle of cloth, then the clink of something being placed on the table. The Wylder awoke and slowly sat up. Chapter 8. The silver tear he grasped gently throbbed. The Wylder discovered a familiar brooch by his belongings. In his tribe, when one warrior gave such a gift to another, it was a promise to ever fight side by side, whether separated by land or sea. Did his younger sister remember such customs? He pinned the brooch to his coat, as was their practice, and gently placed his hand upon it. Once we're done, it'll be goodbye. He knew the twin horses would never run free again, as once they did, side by side, but perhaps just one gallop onward. Chapter 9. After a time, a new Night Lord came to be. The Round Table Hold, spared from annihilation, would be formed anew in preparation for a new night. But would it be enough to free the priestess? He would never know. The Night Lord lumbered on, indifferent to whether or not the twin horses would ever ride again. On to the Guardian. The Guardian was born in the Winged Realm, becoming a knight of the Pinion Folk, sworn to protect its lands and people. In the splintered memory of the Guardian are two flocks. The old flock from his home nation, who he failed to protect, who died, and the new flock, who fare with him against the night. Chapter 2. This is a memory of the new flock, of a meeting between the Guardian and a witch, both of whom were guided to the Round Table Hold. There, though I doubt thou wilt soar the skies, as once thou didst. So murmured the Recluse, gently stroking the wing in sympathy. The Guardian felt the curse that eats away at his wing recede. Its progress halted. He thanked her with courtesy, but the Recluse just shook her head in silence. "'Tis nothing. 'Twas for such times I learned what I did." The Guardian turned his eye to a nearby pile of books. Perhaps, if armed with knowledge, I might have saved them, he thought. It was from thence that the Guardian began to address the Recluse as his teacher. Chapter 3. This is a memory of the old flock. Information they took to the skies, cutting through the air with the ease of a single living being. From his vantage amongst the clouds, the Guardian spied the citadel below. A hail of spears came hurling from the ramparts. This was all part of their duty as winged warriors of the Scapular Regiment. The Guardian Corps, took the van to shield the greater flock from the incoming projectiles before receding to allow the Talon Regiment to plunge into the fortress. It would not stand for long. In was through battle that the flock was whole, until the cursed blades would come to rob them of their wings. Chapter 4. This is a memory of the new flock, a lesson learned at the round table hold. Wah ha ha ha. Just put it on. I fixed it for you, friend. The man known as the Raider was bold and boisterous. It's like 2 in the morning, so I can't be too loud, I'm sorry. I knew it would be perfect for a fine knight of your stature. He was also a terrible meddler, and willful in his way. Having had the helm foisted upon him, the guardian instinctively batted it away. He knew the raider had meant no harm, but he'd simply laid down his helm long ago, ever since the day he lost the flock he failed to protect. Chapter 5. This is a memory of the old flock. The guardian was the sole survivor of a war in which there was no hope of victory. It was in battle that the flock was whole, and could rebuff any and all who dared face them. Knights of the Pinion Folk feared not death. It was their duty and their pride to give themselves for the sake of the whole. The flock would always grow new feathers. But with ease, it was that the cursed blades stole from the flock their wholeness and unity, by instilling in them the fear of losing their flight. Before the curse, the guardian's shield was powerless. Chapter 6. This is a memory of the new flock. While in the study, in wafted the alluring savor of freshly baked bread. The taciturn warrior must have been in a mind to cook. Led by the aroma in the courtyard, the pirate's bellowing laughter rang out. The archer had an arrow aimed at the big man. The guardian had no mind to stop their amusement, for he knew they were merely making merry. The swordsman said not a word, and headed to his easel. Upon entering the chapel, he saw the sister, hands clasped together. Meanwhile, the man of learning pored over his books, tea in hand. They were a flock that was far from whole, imbalanced and uneven. He wondered if the word even truly applied. It was around that time that the unfamiliar merchant arrived. A quick personal note, upon entering the chapel to the tea in hand, that little blurb, I think that's talking about the Undertaker and the Scholar. And so I think some of these journal entries may have been changed from the 1.0 version. But anyways, Chapter 7. This is a memory of the new flock. After taking care of the merchant, the guardian heard a voice coming from behind. I suppose thou wert protecting thy flock, said the recluse. Indeed, mistress. I consider our fellows of the round table to be as you say. In response, the recluse nodded her head, unspeaking for a moment. Then, I know the laws of thy people. Thou wilt not suffer those who endanger the flock to remain. There was within the merchant's ledger a clue pertaining to the cursed blades. He asked the iron menial to help investigate. Chapter 8. This is a memory of the new flock. The third volume collected laid bare the secrets of the cursed weapon known as the Ictarus. The curse is the product of a sorcery from deep within distant land, a script put down in blood. The guardian remembered reading this particular variety of magic. Knowledge and knowing lead to protection, so he believed. Of his knowledge gained under the tutelage of his teacher, the guardian knew now for certain. He knew now of many stories. The tale of the pack of horses galloping across Windwheel Knoll, great adventures of the pirates of the coastal waters, the fearsome fellowship, the wandering warrior whose habit was to preserve scenes with brush and ink, and finally, the tale of the witch of the deep wood, who wielded cursed magics. Chapter 9. This is a memory of the new flock. The guardian was forced to make a decision for the safety of the flock. Eyes closed as he contemplated matters, someone approached. I do not like to interfere. Across from him stood a girl who seemed more dull than human, the newest feather to find home within the flock. However, I owe the witch a debt. Even with what you know now, it is not too late. And with that, she left, leaving behind a scrap of paper. Chapter 10. This is a memory of the new flock. The guardian could not bring himself to harm the recluse. Though she was indeed the one who birthed the curse which wrenched away the wings of his former flock, she was one feather utterly essential to the new. The guardian weighed both thoughts in his mind. He knew then what it was that he must protect, and as proof of his knighthood, his very resolution, he would don the helm that the giant of a man had mended for his wear. Taking it in hand, the guardian stepped forth with renewed purpose. Moving on to the Ironeye. Instructions sent from the Fellowship to the Ironeye. Ironeye, beloved child of the Fellowship, we have received a word from Batair, however you pronounce that you have fulfilled your duty. Your compensation is on its way. Remain at your present location. A new substantial task will soon be upon you, which will likely require journeying to the lands between. Details to follow. Ever your custodian Isolde. Yes, please forget what I said the other day. It was pure balderdash, spoken in frustration. Chapter 2. Instructions sent from the Fellowship to the Ironeye. Ironeye, beloved child of the Fellowship, I am certain you are aware of the destruction of the boarding house in the Duskin Valley. Root out the traitor and retire him. You can pick up his trail in the lands between. Standard protocol applies. The Fellowship will not involve itself. Traveling expenses, intelligence, and allies must all be procured as you work. Ever your custodian, Isolde. Chapter 3. A report written by the Ironeye addressed to the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian, I have no means to deliver this report, but I here shall record my progress. Following the traitor's trail has led me to the Round Table Hold. I have made an ally who goes by the name of Priestess. There have been scant clues to find, but such is the way in this field of work. The work itself proceeds as usual. Ironeye. Chapter 4. Instructions sent from the Fellowship to the Ironeye. Ironeye, beloved child of the Fellowship, I believe you are familiar with the monster. It is clear now that his guardian had been slain long ago. It seems to have happened when the boarding house was destroyed in the Duskin Valley. There is a strong likelihood that the traitor to the Fellowship is indeed the monster. Take every precaution. He was raised by the Fellowship to be the centipedal scion he is after all. Ever your custodian, Isolde. Chapter 5. A report written by the Ironeye addressed to the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian, I have picked up the trail of the traitor, the monster. He is a brother of the Fellowship. A battle is sure to be drawn out, but I shall prevail. I will send a report once the deed is done. Ironeye. P.S. I found a sealed missive amongst my effects. In accordance with protocol, I shall open it, unless advised otherwise, Master. Chapter 6. A blood-stained letter addressed to the Ironeye. The scions of the Fellowship are fated to be disposed of once they play their part. Thus I had a dream, to wrest the power of the night and bend the rules which govern our realm. The scions raised would wander through an endless night, fighting on and on. A night that would never break. For their sake I desired. but it is a dream most foolish. I should have never mentioned it to you. Free yourself of your misgivings and walk the path in which you believe. Ever your custodian, Isolde. Chapter 7. A report written by the Ironeye addressed to the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian, I have no means to deliver this report, but I here shall record my progress. The traitor has been dealt with. All that remains is to face the Night Lord. Ironeye. Yes, fear not, master. My mind is clear. Chapter 8. A report written by the Ironeye addressed to the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian, you are the finest guardian one could hope for. I desired freedom from the yoke of the Fellowship only because you showed me it was possible. I have only gratitude for you, master. For now, my night shall never end. And now, unto the Duchess. Chapter 1. A letter from the Iron Menial written shortly after the Duchess was summoned to the Round Table Hold. We have awaited your arrival with great anticipation. As priestess, you shall guide the Round Table Hold to victory over the Night Lord. I was chosen to assist you in whatever way I can. The garden is graced with beautiful flowers and the study filled with rare books, new and old, by all manner of authors, and on every subject fathom. English is hard, I'm sorry. Fathomable. If I may ask, if I may, I ask, what are your preferences for meals? I will serve whatever you wish. One last thing, perhaps you'd be amicable to a change of attire. You are a righteous thief no longer. You are now the honorable priestess of the Hold. Chapter 2. A letter from the Iron Menial, written after the Wylder was summoned to the Round Table Hold. I trust that our newly welcomed champion has had a moment to gain his bearings. He appears to have sustained injuries in the outside world before he was drawn here. Rest assured, I will make certain that he is properly cared for. In any case, I'm delighted to welcome a new nightfarer to our family. He seems to be the master of a very large sword. No doubt he'll make good use of it in our campaign against the night. Chapter 3. A routine letter from the Iron Menial concerning everyday affairs. Baking the bread you requested is proving to be far more difficult than expected. I've recruited the raider to assess the results of my trials, and surely this will help me approach your specifications. Which reminds me, the raider said he wishes to speak to you about something. Perhaps you might pay him a visit. Chapter 4. A letter from the Iron Menial that appears to have been written several times. I know you are worried for the Wylder, but such things happen more than you might imagine. It appears that the injuries he sustained in the outside world before his arrival here have made him terribly weak. If we should defeat the Night Lord, as we yearn to do, I am afraid the Wylder may not return alive, and yet we must carry on as tragic as it is. Chapter 5. A letter from the Iron Menial written in an anxious, scrawled script. My lady priestess, I am well aware of your grave concern for the Wylder. You should know that when I checked in on him, he appeared to be making preparations of a sort, and today he is nowhere to be seen. The Wylder's weakened constitution places him at risk. Please seek him out. He should be somewhere inside the Round Table Hold. Chapter 6. A letter from the Iron Menial, written with even greater care than usual. Those who fare against the night find that even their most cherished memories eventually dissipate. It is nothing less than a miracle that you've restored your memories of your brother. I understand how concerned you must be for what lies ahead. There is one thing we must never forget. We were beckoned here for one reason and one reason only, to bring an end to the Night Lord. Many among us are gravely concerned for you, my lady priestess, the writer especially so. Perhaps you should lend him your ear. Chapter 7. A letter from the Iron Menial that was torn up and discarded without ever reaching its addressee. As you are well aware, my lady priestess, you are bound to the Round Table Hold. But if the object were not born of flesh and blood, it could venture beyond the Round Table Hold. But to make such a thing possible, the Duchess clutched the paper scraps in her hand as if clinging to a fleeting dream. Chapter 8. A letter from the Iron Menial that was torn to pieces, then later patched together. But to make such a thing possible, to connect the Wylder in the outside world before he draws any closer to death would require a fetish. Such a bound could be established if the object that he kept on his person was to receive a blessing, but the chances of success are slim indeed, and I cannot bear to think of leaving you, Lady Priestess, all alone. And Chapter 9. A letter addressed to the Iron Menial. To a dear friend who has always been true, please follow the blessed bond and safeguard my brother's life. To this end, we must first lay the Night Lord to rest. We must not sacrifice one goal for the other. We can achieve both. My resolve no longer wavers, not while I am graced with this beret. Whatever that means. But moving on to the Raider. The pirates of the coastal waters loved nothing more than a worthy rival, and thus the Raider made his way to Limveld. The encroaching Night Lord was precisely the challenge he wished for, or so his intuition told him. The moment he stepped foot in the Round Table Hold, he knew that he was right, and when he donned the white horned helmet, he was certain that he could hear it, the gentle murmuring of the waves of the coastal waters that were once so familiar. Chapter 2. The Raider removed the helmet and placed it on the floor with a thunk. The war with the night was constant, never leaving an idle moment, and yet he felt oddly unfulfilled. Do you feel the same, old friend? As he murmured to himself, he patted the white horns of his beloved helmet. They were chiseled and worn, reminders of the countless battles waged heretofore. There must be someone who'd poured his soul into a battle to the death, a fierce rival enough to make one's blood boil. He was certain that such a warrior could not be far, or perhaps was even quite close, maybe right here in the Round Table Hold. Chapter 3. The tourney of the lands between was finished, and once again he found himself peering at his white horned helmet. It was a good feeling, but he wanted more. He recalled the words of the Iron Menial, the potential to discover a truly worthy opponent. For the pirates of the coastal waters, such a rival is more precious than any treasure. Chapter 4. Anticipation of battle reminded him of an old memory from his time sailing the coastal waters. A wave knocked the raider onto the shore, and his first mate, Weathervane, called out to him, "Ah, are you alive, Captain?" The raider replied by slamming a fist into his low, worn helm, causing a gush of blood, but he paid it no mind. "Never should have asked." Weathervane sighed out, but at the same time appeared to be scribbling some notes. The raider took notice, and Weathervane brazenly chuckled. "I got front row seats to a duel to the death between two bloody beasts. Figured I could make a fortune if I got the details down." Chapter 5. After the raider finished the tourney of the lands between, the Ironeye asked him a question. White Horn and Black Claw, was it? Intriguing story, but I heard they never settled who to rule the coastal waters. Why not? The assassin of the Fellowship had suddenly become quite talkative about naval campaigns. Ha ha ha. Perhaps we'll never know, but I can say one thing. With a smile, the raider slapped his helmet. Pirates of the coastal waters never forget a vow to lock horns. We'd rather die than live as cowards. Chapter 6. The raider waited for the commencement of the final match of the tourney of the lands between. But the Iron Menial noticed something amiss with the monument. There's no sign of a coming battle. Perhaps something happened to your challenger. But the raider was patient. He knew that this was a time to be patient, and moreover, that his opponent was fond of arriving late. Chapter 7. The sea breeze reminded him of his memories of the coastal waters. The raiders sat on the shore where they were arranged to meet. Weathervane pleaded with him. Give this one up, Captain. He's part of the night now. The raider peered west at a sea engulfed by darkness and punched the white horn helmet. I'll hold on to this for now. After reminiscing for a moment, he was interrupted by a gentle murmuring of waves. The raider opened his eyes and gazed silently out into the waters. He knew where he must go, for when the sea summons them to fight, the call must be answered. Chapter 8. The final match was held, bringing the tourney of the lands between to its conclusion. The raider gave the white horn helmet back to its owner, and was Black Claw once again. A gentle wind brushed his cheek. He wondered how Weathervane may have recorded their battle in words. The pirates of the coastal waters loved nothing more than a worthy rival. But these days, the raider no longer hears the gentle murmur of the waves. For him, the sea churns no longer. Onto the Revenant. Trying to escape from the encroachment of the night, I awoke. Checking my joints, I traced my way through clouded memories. But where was I? And why did the air smell of must and mold? I needed to know what was going on. That is where I decided to begin. Chapter 2. As I fought alongside the others of the Round Table hold, some of the fog surrounding my memories has lifted. I look in the mirror. I remember my name is Daphne, daughter of the prestigious House of Northerncroft, a family of master puppeteers. But then, upon the day of a fearsome storm, the night swallowed the entirety of the family estate. It was on that day that I became the Revenant, taking on the figure of this doll. Chapter 3. Though my form is that of a doll, yet do I dream. Upon the night of the storm, nothing stirs within the estate, except for me, now inhabiting the unfamiliar body of a doll, aimlessly prowling the grounds. Then, something strokes my cheek. It is ever at this point that the dream is cut short. I awaken and look in the mirror, so I can make sure the sensations running through me. Are my dreams not enough, that you desire more? Black streaks have appeared upon my cheek. It seems I'm cherished by the night indeed. To think it would still give chase, even in this doll's frame. Chapter 4. I conceal the ways in which the night eats away at me as I apply the cosmetics given to me by the Iron Menial. I recall his words to me. Within your memories is a hole of not inconsequential size. It seems that the night is using this toehold to take root. The Recluse was the one who made this observation, but I know not how much he is worthy my trust. That aside, I cannot grow accustomed to applying makeup with my own hand. Back at home, someone would have done it for me. The task is finally complete. I caress the smoothness of my cheeks. Now I come to think of it, what was the name I gave this doll? Chapter 5. I look into the mirror. The night eats away at more and more. Pitiful. She was my darling baby, carved by my grandfather. I called her by a name, but I don't know if I'll ever recall it now. Instead, I stroke her face. I must find a way to purge my body of the night that is nesting within. In that case, I believe the priestess. Chapter 6. Dolls too have dreams. This I know. The daughter of the house softly caresses my cheek. Let's put on a little makeup, Daphne. I always liked having my makeup done. Chapter 7. I caress the cheeks of the face that looks back from the mirror. The fingers have not the warmth nor the softness I expect. It seems I must face again what transpired upon that stormy night. Chapter 8. I grasp the portrait and face the mirror. The daughter of the house is no more. She will never caress my face again, no matter how I yearn. I was never a human, and yet the mantle of doll no longer fits me. There's but one thing I must accomplish. Every reason I became the Revenant, to bring an end to the night of the storm. Now on to the Recluse. But first, a lot of talking, and I am a little bit dehydrated. Remember to stay hydrated. Especially for the Recluse, because she speaks in a very strange way. And English is already hard enough, so. Though my fellows call me by the name of Recluse, mine origin is as one of many, a witch of the deep woods. From mine seclusion amongst the trees, caused did I have to journey forth to Limveld, for I had mind to search for a certain something, coiled in shadow. Chapter 2. I yearn for, yes, my beloved infant. If I am to find it, I must recognize the signs that shall point the way. First, I aim to approach the menial, the beloved infant, the being that I, as a witch, birthed. It was never a true name. It was never a true name bequeathed, though with a certain mirth we spoke of it as the gnawing. Following a trail of ancient magic, its whereabouts are approximately known. It remaineth in somewhere in Limveld, I am sure. I seek a shard of night, that the babe's connection to the night might be ascertained. Chapter 3. While I await the outcome of the menial's investigation, my thoughts turn to an old companion, now past. For my search, in some ways, is an atonement for what happened to her. The Witch of the Wheel, an old friend, who was learned in the same ways as I. She was, in a sense, the infant's nurse. The gnawling would eat anything and everything, in quantities most vast. As such, I left its feeding to mine old companion. The Witch of the Wheel was a woman of deceit. Her wiles were sword and shield to her. Chapter 4. The menial left a note. His investigation seemeth to have borne fruit. From the night shard, vestiges of the infant can be traced. I shall ask for the shard's return, that I might verify this myself. The menial appears to be a cowed mannequin-like creature, hath taken to aiding me in my search. Perhaps I have tasked him overmuch. I have seen him converse passing little with the other warriors of late. His presence seemeth to recede at the round table. Chapter 5. Using the night shard, I found a vestige connected to the infant. Here's all I've learned thus far. The vestiges are the vestige of night, teeth marks found in the night shard, alongside the vestige of night, found embedded in the round table hold. Both seem to radiate an ancient magic which I myself imbued. I am certain, after mine infant disappeared itself that day, it must have been an audience with the Night Lord. It ravened. Okay? It ravened as if its appetite knew no bound. It would devour shadows of any stripe. The Night Lord's own shade surely seemed irresistible to it. It must have what must have become of my creature after it did feast. Chapter 6. I sensed another familiar magic within the vestige of night. I believe now that mine old companion is the key to finding the infant. The Witch of the Wheel, who should be long departed. Using the clues I gathered, I must seek her in her hiding place within the Round Table hold. The demise of the Witch of the Wheel. During a great clash of armies, the infant overran the enemy, devouring their shadows. It was then that it lost itself and bared its fangs at us. With time, I've come to understand. It was yet young and afraid, and I did not think to take it in my arms, to offer comfort of any kind. The price I paid was the loss of an old friend. I still remember, clear as day, her remains, shorn of any shadow. Chapter 7. The child with the Night Lord bequeathed me, the last thing I needed in my search. Bone like stone. The infant's voice can be heard when softly touching the stone. Please have patience. I shall come to thee, I swear. Chapter 8. I thank thee for bestowing thy love upon a knight. Thus did mine old companion speak to me in parting. These words resounded within as I took the infant in mine arms. As I did what I once could not all those years ago. The crying hath ceased now. The gentle night within its breast knoweth now a peaceful slumber. Moving on to the Executor. Mine flesh, partially plated, mine hand with brush. A window into oneself. Brushstrokes outline these fragments of memory. Chapter 2. The Erd Tree. I am an artist. From the distant land of reeds. Washed up on the shore, inspired by what I saw, but the piece is incomplete. Something is missing. Chapter 3. Flowers. An embracing warmth. From the flowers, the same flowers, that grew in my painter's shed. I'm an artist, painting the Erd Tree. I'm a guest, bearing a sword. I am silent. I am a witness. Chapter 4. The guest. I am a guest, or perhaps an executioner. Guest speaks. I will wait until your Erd Tree is complete. And we get a little... from chapter 2 onwards, we get a little sketch from him, unlike the other nightfarers who only get one on their final journal entry, which is kind of nice. But anyways, chapter 5. Old friend. The Erd Tree was still incomplete, so I drew a sketch in solace of an old friend from the land of reeds, who spoke not a word. I will entrust it to my guest. I cannot complete the Erd Tree before another executioner arrives in the first one's stead. Chapter 6. The Crucible Knight. A portrait of my guest, or perhaps my executioner. A crucible holds a composite. My guest cannot bear to render a judgment. Here at the painter's shed, overlooking the Erd Tree until the very end. Chapter 7. The Executor. 2 faces, 1 sword. Such is my nature. A soul drenched in blood, yet willing to face the night. And perhaps, when the night is past, I will complete the Erd Tree. Oh, on to the 2 DLC characters. First, the Scholar. Chapter 1. A journal entry titled To Distant Limveld. Crossing the storm-tossed seas, I reached the land of my ancestors. According to my documents, there's an academy in which the great sage Herodotus passed down his knowledge. He for whom our institution is named. But what I seek above all else is the cleansing tear. There's a line concerning it found in a collection of folk tales I read back in the institution that I cannot help but dwell upon. The cleansing tear is our desire manifest, that which will save our kind from its fate. It can be found here, in this land, I am certain. The gate hidden in the fog is opened. I will draw the truth into the night at last. Chapter 2. A journal entry entitled A Lens to Look into the Past. The enchanted monocle I carry was given to me by my mentor as I embarked upon my quest. It is invaluable to my analysis. The glintstone brings various facets of an object into focus, by unspooling the memories buried within the object. The events of the past can be witnessed, a process which must be performed with care. I shall verify these truths myself, such that no harm comes to the relationships I have built with others. I write this record of my actions with those same ideals in mind. Chapter 3. A journal entry titled The Vestiges Surrounding the Cleansing Tear. I found a scrap of paper I believe to have been carried by a messenger, though soiled and in poor condition. I saw faintly but unmistakably the word tear imprinted upon it. Examining it further, I had the most intriguing words arise from within the vision I beheld. The tear, salvation. This warrants further analysis. I shall continue my probe of the phantom vision as usual. Chapter 4. A journal entry titled The Elbenorc's Secret Elixir. I discovered a nobleman's diary in the study hidden beneath a marsh. Deciphering it affirmed the connection between the cleansing tear and the Elbenorcs. The vision also pointed to a place known as the Research Annex. Could it be there that we, the Elbenorcs, find our manifest desire and reclaim our fate? An additional observation. A fellow warrior of the Round Table Hold was exhibiting some strange behavior. It seemed she wished to escape the notice of the others, and so, with proof of my claim in hand, I made her a proposal that should serve us both. I had been deliberating on how to frame such a long disappearance from the Round Table Hold, but now I have my answer. I leave the rest to her. Chapter 5. A journal entry titled The Traitor of the Round Table Hold. With scant clues, the research annex, the nobleman's second residence located below Limveld, was near impossible to find without the priestess's help. I thought of the peculiar being who seems to come and go from the Round Table Hold at its leisure. I explained my purposes to it and struck a bargain with the small jar merchant. I communicated via etchings on wax tablet, and the merchant responded gleefully. After an exchange of drawings, we concluded with a detailed agreement. All that was left was to wait. Before long, everything was ready. The truth would soon be revealed. With my heart aflutter, I packed a few belongings and went to the merchant. A journal entry titled The Truth of the Cleansing Tear. What remains of the century has been crossed out so many times that it has become completely illegible. The majority of it has been torn out completely. Chapter 7. A journal entry titled That Which I Dreamt While Asleep. In deepest darkness was I lying down, adrift in a small boat that was barely large enough to contain me in width or length. The sky above was black as pitch. and though there was nothing at all to mark my passage, no land nor shore in sight, still I felt the rocking of the vessel as it drifted down the stream. Just then the little boat creaked as someone stopped it dead. I tried to crane my neck to see, but my body would not move. All I saw was a hand clasped upon the vessel as it pushed me gently out. Cast hatred aside, beaten at the call of the broken and discarded. White flowers bloomed on the river bank, and a sweet scent not unlike honey wafted gently. I began to wonder what became of the woman with whom I had made a bargain with. I wish I could give her the crystal I found underground to show my appreciation. Chapter 8. A journal entry titled A Sentimental Reawakening at the Round Table Hold. My memories returned in vivid clarity after my reawakening at the Round Table. I have known this uncanny sensation in my frame before, this feeling that my body had been lost. Once I was able to move my arms and legs, I finally stood up. I asked the iron menial who would come to my aid. He responded by indicating the flower sitting at my bedside. Its white petals swayed gently, exuding a uniquely refined aroma. I must speak to her, it seems. There's no need to keep the bargain anymore. Chapter 9. A journal entry titled My Purpose. Limveld is a sacred land under which sleep, secrets, and mysteries aplenty. What I have unearthed will change our understanding entirely, for I have found that which before was only known to us in books and legends. I know I will be called a madman, a liar, or worse, but I hope that those who follow in my footsteps will be that much closer to the truth. Allow me to conclude my findings. Having now come to the end of this grand romance, the cleansing tear is not a manifestation of our desires. It has not the power to change our fate. It is, however, an artifact of great import. Let it be known to history. And finally, we have the Undertaker. A sky of clouds. In the distance, the sun breaks through, only to disappear again. Go to the place where they await you. Only there will you find your salvation. The father told me that those were the words of our God. I think he was seizing an opportunity to be rid of me. Loathsome thing that I am, I do not fault him for it. Chapter 2. A sky of clouds. They seem to be making their way across the sky with greater speed than usual. My life had been a loathsome affair. I have no parents or family to call my own. At the monastery, the other children shunned me, as did the adults. I hunted beasts in the woods, partook of their flesh and blood, and was feared. As I grew, I learned that my constitution required a constant stream of power to consume. Once I tried to resist, but the shakes and pain became unbearable. As the delirium reached its zenith, I'd bitten my own arm without knowing. Living was hard, but choosing death was unthinkable. Since then, I have lived the span of many lives, yet nobody understands me. I remain alone. Chapter 3. A sky of clouds. The foaming waves appear darkest gray. The power of night spreads across the land. To me, it feels like a blessing and a curse. Its tastes are bitter, and it makes me nauseous, yet somehow it soothes my ever-churning mind. I wonder, will I change too, if I overcome this night? What if I remain the same? I don't want to relinquish this power the night has brought. Ah, that reminds me. I believe the Iron Menial said he had an important task for me today. Chapter 4. A sky of clouds, humid and stifling. He saw me. I'm lucky it was only the scholar. He can be trusted. As long as I do as he says, it will all be fine. I'm also having hallucinations, as if everyone were frightened of me. I'm starting to believe it might be true. I feel sick. The melancholy is growing to be too much. But when I clutch the leather case I was given, it grants me respite from my thoughts. Chapter 5. A sky of clouds. Seabirds sing in the distance. It's been several days since the Skelly disappeared from the Round Table hold. He must have been serious. The priestess is trying to gather information as to his whereabouts. She believed him dedicated to her cause. His sudden absence puzzles her. Rare though it is, this is not the first time a nightfarer has disappeared. All I can do is remain true to our bargain. Chapter 6. A sky of clouds. The wind is strong. The scholar has returned. I'm surprised he has regained his form considering what he was reduced to. As I wiped my mouth of the stains of night, I began to ponder. Was I attempting to atone for my sins? I cannot say for certain. He knew my secret. Perhaps I was simply scared. Though I failed to uphold my promise, he chose me a second time. I can only assume he saw some use in me yet. I feel a calmness when holding the glass he gave me. Perhaps this will help me overcome the hunger without feasting on the succor of night. And finally, chapter 7. A sky of clouds. A few rays of sunlight peek through. My life had been a loathsome affair. Those around me kept their distance as I moved from place to place. At times I was pressed into battle and piled the corpses high. What could be a path to peace had been offered to me, and the sacrifices would be worth it. For me, with little else but bloodshed to call a talent, perhaps I'd found my purpose. I've come to believe it is, now. And there you have it. Every single journal entry in all of Nightreign. Unless we get new Nightfarers, but that's for another time. Possibly in the future. For now, we got it all, and yeah.